Last season we finished in 3rd place in the league. This season we're expected to finish in 17th place. The first time in this save we're not expected to finish bottom of the top flight in Polish football. We now have the 12th best sponsorship income, which is wonderful. And we've now got 3.89 million in the bank despite completing the upgrade of the training facilities last season. We've now got average training facilities, good youth facilities, excellent junior coaching and exceptional youth recruitment. But despite all that, we're only expected to avoid relegation from the top flight of Polish football and to be competitive in the Europa Conference League, as well as reach the first round of the Polish Cup. We already know who we'll be facing in the Europa Conference League because it's one of two options: Shakhtar Donetsk or TJK Legion of Estonia. So, aside from Belarus or aside from Estonia, it's one of two options for us. But let's now talk about the team that we're going to be fielding this year, because we've got a few things I want to talk about. Goalkeeping wise, we've got 4 goalkeepers that I could potentially use this year. Furman is probably the one person I will be letting go at some point in the future, because I don't think his potential is going to be that good. But our main goalkeeper is still our best goalkeeper, and it's very exciting to say the least, because he's now considered a decent player for this division, and he's got no negatives. I don't often get to say that, but a goalkeeper with no negatives is a very good sign for us indeed. He's also got 18 natural fitness, so he'll definitely not have issues with getting worse as he gets older. Misha Furman, I'm definitely looking at potentially letting go at the end of his contract this season. He doesn't have big matches. He's not going to be good enough for the top flight ever, and we've never played him. We might play him this year, but only because of bad form of other players and injuries. Igor Bartnik has never played for the main team, but I think we might play him this year if we get injuries or because our main goalkeeper is having a bad season or a bad game. It's one of the two. He's also got good potential, so it makes sense to use him. And Viktor Rybacki is also a goalkeeper that isn't amazing, but is 6'6", has potential, so we might use him at some point in the very long-term future. It's just a shame he's inconsistent. Right back, we do have a few options here at this point, but some players we're only going to really use for other roles. For example, Michel Kroll is the man we'll be using as the right back. He's our captain, he's got resolute personality. He's also wanted though by another team in our division. He also dreads big matches, which makes him a bit of a concern as the captain. He's a good player though, so we kind of need to use him. But still, Marcin is quite a decent player. He's only good enough to be a 3rd tier player sadly right now, but he is getting better and better, and hopefully one day in the near future he will be good enough to be a top flight player. He's got the potential to be doing so, and he's very professional. He's only 17, so he's got a long way to go. The only other player I'd really use on the wings is Sebastian Woodell, and he's okay, not amazing, and he's only a decent 2nd tier player, so we might be looking to move him on in the near future. He's definitely more of a backup player at this point for both centre-back and right-back. Left-back, we haven't got as many options, but we've got young players coming through that could do some damage. Marcel is another one of the players that I'm happy with, and he's definitely a good player for the top flight, and he's actually very consistent, so definitely one of those players that I think we could do a lot of things with. He's not very good at his jumping, but at 5'6" and a left-back, that's not a shocker. Am I playing him out of position by making him play as a wing-back on attack? Maybe. But he's got the attributes for it, so I'm using him there. So this is probably a mistake, but Jacob will be playing as a backup to the left-back role, even if he's only a leading 3rd tier player, is injury-prone, and dreads big matches. He could be a decent top-flight player, but I'm probably not going to use him as a top-flight player ever, if I'm completely honest with you. We've got another Jacob, though, as the last left-back, and he's very inconsistent, low determination, and rather slow. And has injury proneness as well, so it's not exactly great for left backs, is it? So centre backs, we've got a few options here. It's obvious who will be in the first team, I think. Chichoki is the man that I think will be our main choice. Centre back, first and foremost, he's quite good at the role, and I say he's quite good. He's only a good 2nd tier player, and he's our best centre back, which is probably where our weakness lies. He is consistent though, so he's got that on his side, but he's a bit slow and could only be a decent top flight player in the future. I need him to be a top flight player in the future, and we definitely need more players at centre back in the future. Especially when you realise that Surak is the next best centre back, and is 30 and is probably going to start declining soon since he's only got a natural fitness of 10. He's quicker though, so there's that I suppose, but while he's got the work rate and is versatile and is consistent, he's not going to be amazing long term, I think. And then we got Bartos, who I probably should have been playing sooner, quite frankly, but he's only got potential to be a good second tier player again. He's got 16 jumping reach, but only 11 natural fitness and is not the fastest. So again, we need to work on a few things. And I really wish we didn't have problems. He is 6'4" though, so he's good in the air, at least. I mean, the fourth player I can really say is probably going to be in the first team right now is this guy. And Bogdan is not exactly great. He dreads big matches, only a leading third tier player, could be a good second tier player. And yeah, it's not great. He's got pace though, so he's got that. And he's consistent. He's just not amazing. He's only got 2 technique as well. How on earth is this guy meant to be my first team for long term, really? Centre back is definitely the main weakness of this team, I think. We now look at the DMs, and I think you can see the problem right here now. We've got a few issues at the DM position, don't we? If we take out all the players that I'm not going to use a DM position, this is our problem. We've got 2 experienced players. First and foremost, Marcel Geisier is the man who's been playing the role for long term. He's 32. He's injured and is only a third tier player, so it's not ideal, really. We do have a 23-year-old who is the next best player in the role and is not going to be that amazing. Only a decent... Yeah, I think the DM role and the centre-back role might be the 2 weakest areas of the team, which is not ideal to say the least. But we do have a few players that could take up the role in the future. Polina is one of the players that I think will take up the role long-term because he's a deep line playmaker on defend, but as a centre midfielder, if we can make him to be a deep line playmaker on defend as a DM, this guy could be really good. He's inconsistent though as well, so it's a few issues here really. Still, we have Damien Kroko, and yes, again, DM, who's a deep line playmaker defense. So this guy could be naturally the best player there. And again, we need to work on this guy long term. He's also 5'5", so it's not great at jumping at all. Thankfully, doesn't have consistency issues. He's just injury prone. He's actually consistent, so there you go. Now, if only this guy stops getting injured so much, we'd be fine. And the last DM to talk about is actually Smodda. I know he's got number 9 shirt right now. I'm going to fix that in the window, okay? He's a DM right now, deep line playmaker defend. Has potential to get better. I don't see him getting much better than potentially a top flight player. And I say top flight player, I mean he's probably going to be a second tier player for the rest of his career. He is consistent though, and has some good attributes. But other than that, it's not really amazing, is he? So now we go to centre midfield, and we got box to box and Mazzars. So let's go to 2 best players first and foremost. So Damien is the man I'll be using as the centre midfielder first and foremost. He's 25. He's got a balanced personality, and he's a good player. The issue I have with him is the fact he doesn't like big matches, which is why he's not mentoring anyone. And honestly, this guy could be an issue. He is consistent though, so if it wasn't for the big matches thing, he'd be the perfect player for me right now. And the fact he's also got injury proneness is also a bit of an issue, but if we could work around that, we'll be fine. Then we've got Jan Rostic, who, again, has potential. He is only 22, but again, hates big matches. He has got a problem or two. He is a good second-tier player. Well, could be a decent top-flight player in the future, but honestly, we need him to work harder and to get better and better. The pressure is an issue, I think, that a lot of players suffer from, but he's a good playmaker if I wanted to be, so I say that. 16 passing, 16 decisions. It's the only 2 bits that like really stand out, apart from the first touch. He could be a pain. He really could be a pain, and I think, give him some time, he could be a nightmare to deal with. So I'm going to start going over some players that may or may not get some game time, and this guy may not be one of them, but has potential to be good. Thomas Kasowski is someone I genuinely think could be a good player. He just needs to get a better personality, because he's got the attributes potentially to do some damage. And I say box to box in this guy, and I think you can see why. Apart from his finishing, and maybe his tackling, he's got a lot of attributes I can say that are good for box to box. He really does. And also, he can play as an inverted winger, so could be an inverted winger actually, first and foremost, so who knows. Another player with that similar sort of issue is actually Daniel Pilech. So he could be a box to box, could be a Mazzala, and also could be an inverted winger if he's allowed to do so. He's got a problem with a casual personality though, so I might send him out on loan and help him get better with that. He's also inconsistent, so a few issues to really work on there. But this guy is the one I'm going to look at and say is probably the man for the future. Adam Kabalka. Mazala, please. This guy is going to be in the first team a lot this year, and I'm hoping he can be really good. He can also play as a box-to-box if needed, but I think I've got someone else for the role, I think, personally. That man is Bartosz Jakalski. Box-to-box. Okay, hear me out. I know he's not amazing at some of the attributes he needs for the role, but he's getting better already. I think if we give him box-to-box, he could be some dangerous players. He really could be dangerous. So hopefully he'll be better and better and do well. If that's not enough, then we've also got this guy, MacLeod, who is actually better at the role. So we got a lot of young talent coming through that could be really good at the box-to-box. He's also not inconsistent, so there's that going for him, and it could be really good, actually. And the last person is this guy, Kamil Kwiatkowski, and again, could be good as Mazala. He's got the attributes. Could also be good as a box-to-box. So plenty of players that we're looking at that are young and have some talent. He's also consistent. So really, he's kind of perfect for what I'm looking for. He's also only 15. He's got a lot of room and a lot of time to grow. So now we look at the right winger position. And yes, Kowski is already here. But we've got a few other players we need to look at and talk about as well. Wybicki last year had the season of his life. And he will continue to be playing there this year. He's liked by the fans. He's consistent. He's a decent player for the top flight. I think this guy is long-term not going to be with us because he's 33. Short-term could be helping us still. He needs work on some attributes and he will probably need to help some of the players out for the pressure of actually having a big match. But other than that, he's good. So Philippe is someone who can play on the right and can play on the left. And he's a winger who's also 29. Decent second-tier player. Likes big matches, is consistent. So other than that, he's not amazing. He just needs some work. And he's also potentially looking to move on anyway. So we might lose him next year. Young players can come through and take his spot, I think. So young talent come through. And Sadalski is one of those players that could be doing something. Whether or not he actually does it, I don't know. He isn't that consistent, but he's got acceleration, so could be dangerous. And Sadalski is also another one of those players that could be decent. He's just not amazing right now and definitely needs to work in the future. So left winger, we got a few options here. And one player that stands out immediately is the fact that there's a 16-year-old who's already quite good here and is definitely in the first team. And that is Noak. So he looks quite good for me and has already got a goal in the league. He's the youngest ever goal scorer we've ever had. And I know what you're thinking. He doesn't look amazing for 16, but then you realize he's this good at 16. He's got potential to be better and better. And was at one point considered a promising attacking midfielder. So he could play as a attacking midfielder. I want to keep him on the wings if I can. He could also play as a striker, but I don't think he's ready for the role or good enough for the role. So I think inverted winger for now, even if he's better with his left foot. I know that's going to trigger a few people, but I think he's perfect for the role personally, and he could be better. It's just a shame he's inconsistent. But other than that, good player. So Jagosinski is one of those players that I thought had potential, never did anything of it, and hates big matches. He's only going to be good enough for a second-tier player, and inconsistent. It's the worst kind of player, really. He's probably going to be gone at the end of next year. We've also got Daniel Norici as well. And here's a thing, another left-footed player playing as an inverted winger. Again, not ideal, I know, but we might need to utilize that. He's also got injury proneness issues and is inconsistent, but other than that, has potential. And remember what I said about Lisowski? Yeah, put this guy on the left wing, inverted winger. He could be dangerous there, really, really dangerous, and I think we could utilize that to our advantage. So, strikers, and you're going to look at this and think, what on earth am I doing? So, Jacob is already one of those players that I think would be very, very, very good. He's been so good for the last few years for us. He hates big matches, though, and I don't see him being much better than potentially a decent top-flight player, which makes the fact that he's done so well for us quite impressive so far. I don't know what else to say about this guy other than that he's been consistent, but he's not very good at times. Kaiser is one of those players that has potential to be good, but just never shows up. And, well, you can see why. He's not a very good player. And he's inconsistent. And only has potential to be a second-tier player at best. A decent one. So great. Not ideal. Jacob Knapp is leaving us. So that's the last you're going to hear about this guy playing for me. And then you look at Christian Sobotka. And, oh, this is a problem, isn't it? Inconsistent. Third-tier player, but driven personality. If only he was better. If only. Could be an advanced striker, but other than that, not really much to say about this guy. Today was more about talking about players that we have at the club and what we're going to do with them. So I'm going to end this here. I hope you guys have enjoyed yourselves. I hope you guys like and share this video and that you subscribe to the channel. It really does help me a lot. Let me know in the comments below what you think we need improvements in, because I think we need a new DM, a new centre-back, and a new striker for this next intake. I really think we need those areas to improvements. But other than that, I want to hear your thoughts and opinions down below. But either way, until next time, goodbye, and well, good night.